Hey B, guess what? Guess what? Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
We have 100 subscribers. I guess people like
What?
listening to us ramble.
Random. Are you sure you didn't bribe somebody or give them ice cream? I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I just want to know.
There may have been a little bit of bribery going on, but that was mostly on your part. That was just for you.
Oh, yeah. Yay! Ice cream for everybody. I would do it regardless, though.
So,
Should we
what
use
you doing?
candles? I
Uh,
don't know if I like the purple. Hmm.
I don't
But
know.
I'm going to put it on fire.
That is terrifying. It didn't work?
Oh, there.
Oh, there it
Ta-da!
is. I can see the light. Oh, there we go. Now I can see the flame. Cool.
It's amazing.
So, what do you think of the spaceship?
I think it turned out really well.
Yeah,
Do you like the decorating?
I do. It's awesome. It's very bee-like. I can tell you've been in here.
Is that a bad thing?
No, not at all. There's lots of flowers and pretty things. That's good.
It makes it look good. So I don't know how to fly it.
Really?
No.
Well, I can fix that.
Jack it up. Am I gonna get bored?
Hello.
Hello. I I was supposed to meet you here, right?
Exactly, you got it. So, everyone, hello. Officially, we are saying hello to you. This is Cap and B here with another Command Labs, and today we are finally looking at the Manta class ship. Here's its guts spewed out on the floor. Ugh, gross. There is a lot to go over today. We have the oxygen reader that tells us the oxygen that the ship has in its tank. We have the oxygen filler that shows us the way that we fill the ship up, but also how you fill the oxygen for the person up. And then we also have how the ship moves. We're going to look into what exactly makes this ship special. What is different about this ship compared to other things? You may have seen something on YouTube like moving boats or cars or something like that, but most of the time those have an issue, and we're going to go over that as well. This ship has the ability to teleport to any station that it's close to just by holding this compass here. So we'll go over how that works as well. And that's about it. Let's get into it. Do you have anything
Am
else?
I gonna am I gonna get bored?
Very, very bored, probably.
Is there gonna be ice cream?
Let's see. Here's ice cream. Yeah, so much ice cream. Hooray!
Okay, this might be a little bit better. Continue.
All right, so first, we'll be right back after I strip away all the necessities here. First, we're going to look at the movement of the ship, how exactly that works, and the things that make it special, particularly. And what the heck is that armor stand doing over there? Okay, be right back. Here we are. We stripped away everything that was not necessary for the movement system. You can see we still have a ton left over. So many colors. Purple and teal, or whatever that color is. Don't correct me, B.
What?
Are you messing with the airlock?
Shh. Keep going. Keep going.
It's a good thing we don't need spacesuits right now. But anyway,
La la
so
la.
essentially, what this is doing is it's cloning the entire ship's area, moving it, and then destroying itself. There's some other stuff that's happening here. If you notice, we have 6 different columns here. They all run along here. And then at the very end, they actually connect to 2 command blocks here. And we'll look at that a little later. That's more to save room rather than anything else. So, first off, you may have seen a command on YouTube that does this. It clones itself and it does a masked move. So that one actually is really cool, but there is one issue. So let's see if we can just get this to move for us here. So this is the ship moving itself right here. It moves into the entity, so that's fine. But then look what happens when it gets to the campfire. The campfire is gone. So there's an issue with that one because once it gets to any block, it'll just go right through it, which is not very good if you have, other structures within your universe, such as space stations or other things like that. So we have to add another command before we do something like a masked move. Now we could use this masked move clone, but I have used a different command. I've gone a different route with this using a structure command. Let me find it here. And the reason that is because you can actually load and save a structure with more blocks in it than you can clone. So that will actually allow us to make larger ships later on down the road. But first of all, let's just run through this and see exactly what's happening. We found the joys of the fill command. Oh, did it fill all your hard
Continue.
work? Oh,
I'm working on something that's not as important. Keep going. Go away.
okay. Hmm. Or B. So anyway, let's run down one of these lines here and see exactly what's happening. So this here is the cockpit. We have a bunch of different buttons in here. So ideally you could just sit in this cockpit and press the buttons in each direction. It could work right now where we're at, but it actually would end up taking some of this room with it. So we're not actually going to do that right now. So let's go ahead and look at this one here. Okay, so this command particularly will make the ship go that way, positive along the z-axis. If you look in the upper left corner, you'll see 4,362, and it's increasing as I go this way. So as soon as what this says is test for the block, the dark oak button, test to make sure that one's been pressed. So once this button right here is pressed, it'll test it. Then what it does is it fills that exact location with an unpressed dark oak button. So this actually took a lot of trial and error. The reason this is here is because if you don't replace that oak button, it'll actually send you 3 or 4 clicks back. It won't just execute one command, one space back, it'll send you 3 times back, which is kind of obnoxious because it's inconsistent. It would be all right if it was consistent, but it changes. So fills it, or it detects it, then it fills it, and then it will test to make sure that the area behind us is blank. And the way it does that is it takes the area of the ship, all of those squiggly lines right there, that takes the area of the ship, and then it compares it to the area underneath that sun. So that space is always going to be invisible, or it's going to be blank blocks, right? So it's going to test if the space behind us is actually blank. So if it's blank, then that means the ship is safe to move there. So, like with our campfire over here, if this actually only tested if there was a block in front of it that wasn't anything but air, then it wouldn't have deleted the block. So we do that first. We make sure everything behind it is air. So we've hit the button, we've filled the button, we've made sure it's safe to move the ship. Now we go ahead and this is a little bit complicated, but basically what we're doing here is we are taking oxygen from the ship's tank. So right now the ship's tank is attached to this entity right here, this little rabbit in this hidey hole.
Rabbit?
Yeah, hiding. What? No, rabbit? What are you talking about? Rabbits? I mean,
Mm,
we aren't using kidnapped animals to make our starships move or anything. What are you talking
hmm.
about?
Is it a robot rabbit?
Yeah, let's go with that one. It's a robot rabbit.
Mm. I'm still very interested in what you're talking about. Continue.
So these robot rabbits have the ability to control the space worms and make the ships travel
Space
through space. Space worms. So
worm?
basically, they're utilizing the glowstone that we put in the oxygen tank and moving it through space. But in the computer, what it's registering this as is it's saying, okay, take the scoreboard, the player that's named ship. So that player is actually a rabbit. And we told it
You
that.
named you named the rabbit ship.
Yeah. So,
You couldn't even give it a unique name?
well, it makes it easier to mass produce them that
I mean, they're rabbits, but still.
way. So anyway, it then it takes away 10 points on the scoreboard of oxygen 2. So this particular thing also requires that before we make the ship and we set this whole thing up, if we're going to take points away from the ship, what we need to do is set up a scoreboard, and then we say objectives, add, and then we want to add oxygen 2. If we're going to copy this directly from this tutorial, you would do that. But, and then you would do, oops, one more thing. Dummy, and display name, you could just do oxygen 2 again. That would be the easiest. So we would add that. And we already have that objective, so it's telling us it already exists, but it wouldn't if it was a new world. So you could go about doing it that way, but if you don't want to take away points from the oxygen tank, then just completely leave that out. Just go to the next chain here. Okay, so you would just delete this entire row here. So the next one that we want to do is this is saying, okay, now take the entire area that's the ship and save that as a structure named ship. So that's what this one does. And then we also add false here because we don't want to add the entities. And I'll tell you in a little bit why. So we've saved it as ship. Now we want to immediately load the ship. And so this one is going to load it in the location that we want. Let's see, this is negative 46x. So, oh, actually, this one is moving it forward. So this is the line that moves the ship forward. So it takes the ship, it clones it, and it puts it over there. Then what it's going to do is teleport all of the entities. So we have an execute command here that says entities within this area. So all of that fancy X, Y, Z stuff after at entity is just telling us that we want to teleport all the entities within that area. And then we're teleporting them negative 35 on the x-axis. So it's going to move all of the entities that are in the ship, which is good because maybe if you have llamas or even people in the ship, then it will teleport them to the exact location in the ship and make it look like the ship has actually moved. But really, it's a sequence of events that are happening rapidly.
So I don't get to lose my llamas?
Yeah, you keep your
Oh,
llamas.
oh, oh, by the way, cat, look, I found a new way to blow out candles.
How?
See? Well, all I have to do is move. Then they're gone? Oh,
Oh,
wait, there's still fire.
that's a very expensive. Oh, you found a glitch? Is it still there?
Yay!
Oh no,
Oh, but look,
it died
the
out.
fire went away.
It was only for a little bit. Nice.
Hmm.
That's a very expensive use of candles, but very
Well,
interesting.
I you know, it's easier to be entertained when I'm using fire.
Otherwise, you would be asleep right now.
Well, I'm sure that I would learn better when I'm sleeping in my dreams because then I can process it. I'm sure there's something scientific about that.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, regardless, let's go back to
I'm
this.
s- okay. I'm still
We're
listening.
almost done.
I
We can do it.
promise.
We're halfway there. Through the boring
Halfway.
stuff.
Halfway.
Hmm. Halfway, for sure.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead. My phone does.
so this entity command, let me make sure it's a little more specific here. So when you use at e, it's telling the system to execute this command, whatever it is, at every single entity. So if you have a bee and a llama and a cap in one ship, then if you say at entity, then it's going to execute it at B, then it's going to execute it at the llama, then it's going to execute it at cap. So we want to do teleport at self here, and that will make it so that there's no duplications. And more importantly, it will make it so the rabbit can teleport to its location in the next ship. That's the most important thing because this rabbit is how we target everything from here on out. It's the most important thing in the ship. And lastly, this is going to just fill a redstone block over here. And this is mainly to um, basically to help with room because there wasn't a lot of room and we need to condense all of this. So each one of these at the end just says to fill that location with redstone block. So right here, there will be a redstone block. And what that will do then is to save a blank space. And it's saving a space underneath that sun that is equal to the size of this ship. So that's a little tricky there. You might have to get a little exact what is happening. but then
We wanted to learn too.
but then you load the blank structure in its place and it deletes this ship. So now we've successfully cloned a ship over there, moved everything over there, and then it deletes itself. And that is the end. That's the end of one line there. So to get into a little more detail, let's see here. Okay. You might need to know one other thing. Let me just run through these lines though, so you can see the conditional and unconditional, and if it needs redstone or doesn't need redstone. So there's only two command blocks under here. So that's one line there. But there are several other lines here. And the reason is because every time we want to move in a different location, we have to make sure that we are moving it in that direction. So it changes. You have to basically manually do all of the direction calculations based on which direction you want to move. So that part is super boring. But in the end, you have a working spaceship, so that's great. So we have ones that move us forward, ones that move us right, ones that move us left, backwards, and of course up and down. The nice thing too, you might think about an issue that you could run into is if you go above 255, things start to get a little crazy there usually. But what you could do, or what has been done here, because it's testing, if all of those blocks are air, you won't run into that issue. Your ship will never delete itself. You could press up or down all day and it won't delete itself in those locations. Okay. So I think we're just about done here. Just running through all of these to make sure that you have a to-do list of where to put everything. Uh, it's a lot of
I
work.
have to have to-do list, to-do list, to-do list. I have an idea.
What's your idea?
B B1, you get this thing to do. B2, I'm gonna name you all, I promise.
Yes.
But for now, we're going to give you numbers, and then later I will individually name you all. And then you can each have a one to-do list because you each were going to be bored if you do not have a job. Right?